Thank you very much also for highlighting the several investments that Jordan has done. And we recognize the commitment of Jordan in addressing the water reform agenda. And in fact, it has taken Jordan has taken several also unpopular reform and law that has shifted the country also in their economy, so that agricultural water consumption now is down between 50-55%, if I'm not wrong, which is one of the lowest of agricultural water use in the region of Near East and North Africa. Thank you very much, Doctor. I would recommend that if you have a specific question to address to each panelist, you take note, so that at the end, when we open the discussion session with the audience, you can also address that one. And now I would like to call His Excellency Mohamed bin Jarsh Al Falasi from Abu Dhabi. He is Undersecretary of the Abu Dhabi Department of Energy, a government body mandated to enable the United Arab Emirates capital's energy transition toward a more sustainable future. Considered by industry peers as a foremost authority in the power and water sector, Excellency Al-Falasi has been instrumental in driving the Department of Energy mandate and rolling out his vision to power Abu Dhabi's economy, sustain its people, and protect the Emirates' environment. His Excellency Al-Falasi has over 25 years of experience in leadership position at Transco, an Emirate water and electricity company, Abu Dhabi Distribution Company, and served in several boards. And he has his studies also from University of Colorado, Denver. So, Excellency, the floor is yours, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for the introduction. Glad, and it gives me a great pleasure to be in Egypt here. Thank you, Your Excellency, as well, for the invitation. Sure. All right. So, again, this is my also first time in Egypt, and I'm so happy to be here. Actually, the UAE has a federal structure, with each emirate enjoying a high level of autonomy in developing and managing its resources. The UAE Ministry of Energy and Industry coordinates the security and sustainability and competitiveness of all sectors, mainly the power and water, mineral wealth resources at the federal level. Now, the Abu Dhabi Department of Energy was established in 2018 as part of the energy sector reform undertaken by the government to support long-term national strategies for sustainable future. A key aspect of the reform that had started in 2018 was the separation of regulatory and services provision aspects, which we hope to deliver efficiency, governance, and greater accountability. As part of our mandate, we enact policies and regulations and develop strategies to ensure effective energy transition. I hope we don't as well get tangled between energy and water transitions. That underpins the Abu Dhabi sustainable growth, all while protecting our consumers and minimizing negative impact on our economy and environment. Abu Dhabi Water sources. As you are all aware, UAE has a desert climate characterized by very hot. It's getting better now, alhamdulillah. Sunny summers with high humidity and pleasantly mild winters. The average annual rainfall on the coastal lines, unfortunately, 120 mm. And we do not have rivers. This makes us one of the most arid countries in the world. Water intensity is high in Abu Dhabi. Actually, can be classified as very high. Due to the, of course, hot desert climate and limited rainfall, our supply mix comprises of 60%, unfortunately, groundwater, 30% desalinated water, and 10% recycled water. The highest demand for water is driven by agriculture and irrigations, which account for the approximately 70% of water consumption. In addition to the climate, government commitment to large green spaces, residential buildings, commercial and industrial uses. The structure of the sector is based on, we had to come up with a solution, and actually it all started in 1998. So the structure of the sector was based on a single buyer model. The state-owned Abu Dhabi Water and Electricity Company was created in 98 to ensure sufficient potable water and power capacity in the emirate, and to buy all water and electricity produced in the emirate by all IWPP. In late 2018, because of the success of the privatization model and the establishment of the single buyer, the Emirate Water and Electricity Company was established to replace ADWIC with a wider mandate to cover the Northern Emirates in addition to the Emirate of Abu Dhabi. Transmission and dispatch. Abu Dhabi Transmission and Dispatch Companies manages all interconnections with the GCC countries, as well as approximately 80% of the UAE transmission network. In addition to that, Abu Dhabi has two distribution companies. One is focusing on Abu Dhabi region, and the other one is Al Ain region. And when I talk here transmission and distribution, or transmission and distribution companies, I'm talking about transmission and distribution of power. With all the IWPPs, and if you notice, we expand up to the Fujairah Emirate. Today, Abu Dhabi is one of the world's largest desalinated water producers. I always had a question. There is always an energy market, power market, electricity markets, but we are producing water. Why don't we have a water market? We have 9 desalination plants across the emirate with total capacity of up to 960 million imperial gallons per day. Transport through a 3,500 kilometer of transmission networks and a 13,000 kilometer of distribution networks of pipes. Today, 120 million imperial gallon of our desalinated water is produced through reverse osmosis, RO. That is 13% of the total desalinated water production capacity, and expected to rise to 30% by 2022. Very interesting, this graph. it shows that the last 5 years, the growth is flat, with limited growth actually in the demand due to and it's contributed to efficiency gains in water use and tariff reforms that we had in part a few years ago. And we are very happy to see this trend. Peak water demand is now around 826 million gallons a day. Today, almost half of the desalinated water supplied for irrigation purposes, and the rest for domestic and industrial applications. We had decided to decouple power and water production. So the best alternative we find is reverse osmosis. Over the past few years, we have gone a long way to maximize investment in the infrastructure and water efficiency technology to meet future demand and ensure water security. We continue to capitalize on reverse osmosis as the preferred and most cost-effective technology for desalination. Just last year, Abu Dhabi had unveiled one mega project with water desalination capacity of 200 million imperial gallon a day. This project financial close happened yesterday. We are so proud. The project would raise Abu Dhabi desalinated water by RO from 13% in 2018 to 30% by the year 2020. It is important to mention as well, it's not just the investment in production capacity. Our flagship company, Masdar, had invested in piloting several ROs, reverse osmosis and forward osmosis, for the intention of reducing the energy consumption for water production. And the results are showing an indicative numbers of delivering annual energy saving of around $550 million. Abu Dhabi has recently invested in water recycling as well capacity of up to 300 million cubic meter, and almost 56% of our recycled water produced in Abu Dhabi is reused. And with the recycled water policy enacted in June recently, we will expand recycled water networks which will likely offset the use of desalinated water for irrigation activities, an important step toward improving water efficiency and sustainability. One of the key projects undertaken by Abu Dhabi Sewage and Services Company is the STEP project, so-called STEP. It's a strategic tunnel enhancement program to collect and treat wastewater discharge from residential, commercial, and industrial, and building Abu Dhabi to increase the capacity for wastewater collection and treatment. Completion of this project will expand its capacity to 1.7 million cubic meter or billion cubic meter of wastewater per day in 2030. In 2018, DOE, or the Department of Energy, had 3 major companies licensed to handle wastewater, which is the Abu Dhabi Sewage and Services Company, Ittihad Bywater, which is a treatment plant, Al-Wathba Veolia B6, and the total, actually, wastewater treatment plants in Abu Dhabi in 2018, 39 plants including the smaller ones distributed around the emirate. Total capacity of wastewater treatment by major licensee in Abu Dhabi is 1,300 million cubic meter per day. Utilization of recycled water is expected to reach 90% by 2021, with additional 420,000 cubic meter, mostly replacing use of desalinated water for urban irrigation, agriculture, forestry, and district cooling and industrial use. Groundwater, unfortunately, I was telling a colleague of mine that I've been in power and water sector for almost 25 years, and I just recently found out a few years ago that in our beloved emirate, 64% of water uses is coming from groundwater. I thought all along that it is desalinated water only, unfortunately. So now we have to come up with policies and strategies to balance the situation. Only 20%, 21% of groundwater reserves, unfortunately, in Abu Dhabi are directly usable, out of which 3% fresh water is conserved as a strategic reserve. The remaining 79% of groundwater reserves are highly saline and cannot be used without treatment. While our population grows and demand for water as well grows, however, we are trying to establish or develop policies for getting that water not from production, but from efficiency gains and demand management. Currently, we have around 200,000 wells as well, producing 2 billion cubic meter of groundwater per year, out of which 87% is used for farming. The UAE has embarked on an ambitious water security strategy 2036 to reduce total demand for water resources by 21%, increase the use of treated water to 95%, and increase national water storage capacity for up to 2 days. That's on the national level, on the federal level. In Abu Dhabi, we have set targets to minimize water losses to 10%, reduce indoor and outdoor water use intensity to 12%, and increase use of recycled water to 100% by 2030. So in meeting requirement of the UAE water security strategy, Abu Dhabi in 2018, early January, completed the largest Liwa aquifer, the world's largest reserve aquifer. Actually, it has some numbers, but I can share at a later stage. Can be used for 90 days, supplying the emirate. Okay, another key highlight of our water security efforts is awareness raising and water demand management. We have launched the Abu Dhabi Demand Side Management and Energy Consumption Rationalization Strategy 2030. It features 9 core programs, including district cooling, efficient water use, and water reuse, and rebates and awareness, with high potential to reduce water consumption by 32% and energy consumption by 22% by the year 2030, based on a 2013 baseline. Now, everybody has been, we have several entities, and I am sure as it is everywhere, involved on water resources and energy planning. So we had to find a common ground and a single platform that we can all assess policies. So we had developed a model that help us to test policies and their impact on the wider emirate and effect on the economy, effect on the environment, and how do we sustain that future and actually come up with better policies, realization through consultation that will help sustain the future of Abu Dhabi. And thank you very much.